All right, we are. Looks like live. Let me make sure we got a sound check and we'll be good to go. All right, I'm getting visuals good, sounds good. All right, we're live. So this is webinar 2 from outbound.com. And today we are looking at what did we talk about last week? It was how to keep your phone ringing, or last month, how to keep your phone ringing. This webinar is designing websites that convert. So I got my notes over here. So if you see me staring off to the side, that is me checking my notes so I don't miss anything. Otherwise, I will. Let's see. I'll check something. If you happen to catch us live, I know most of you will watch us after. If I do catch you live and you do want questions, you can pop them in the chat and we can possibly even review websites at the end if you throw a website in there. I believe I can share a screen, so I should be able to share it with you guys and look at it. If you double check one more thing, if you happen to be on, if not, post it in the comments after, and we can check it later. All right. Not gonna wait too much longer. Just get this open here real quick. This is an old slide, so I don't want to share it, but I can read off of it for you guys. All right, first thing I'm going to get into, we're going to kind of go over how to, what the purpose of your marketing website or your business website should be, as well as mistakes I see a lot that people make on their websites and things you can do to fix it. And then try to give you a basic overview of everything you should have on your site and everything you should be doing with your website to make it convert for your business. I've been doing this 15 years. I have seen just oftentimes the same mistakes made. I've seen really bad sites where I somehow shocked people that by telling them the site was bad, until I walk through it and show them why it's so bad. And today, sadly, we still come across websites that look like they were built in the late 90s, early 2000s using a basic HTML editor, no thought put into it. So I'm going to try to give you as much as I can. I don't really have a limit on these webinars, so really it's up to your limit and how long you can hang out and hear me talk to the camera. So let's get into some of the biggest things. I'm going to do an overview. I'll stop through each point to try to cover some of the points more in depth and give you some actionable items to compare to your website to see if you're making those mistakes and how you can fix them. So the first thing I want to go over is very important to consider that your website should be a digital salesman and not a digital brochure. Too many people design their websites as a brochure. It's just some basic information. It's bland. It's not relevant to a sales process, to getting a conversion. And so they just throw up these basic websites with information about the company. And that's it. There's no real effort to sell who you are to the customer, to convince them to call you, fill out a form, buy the product. It's just basic information as if you were handed a brochure at a conference somewhere. And this is a mistake I still see today. I mean, this is something I've been teaching for, years and years of teaching that topic of just don't treat it like a brochure. But I still see it today in so many cases where the website does nothing more than provide some basic, boring information that honestly nobody really cares about, other than who you are. I mean, if you're a roofing company, they already know you do roofing. Your job is to convince them that you are the roofer they need for their home, not that you're a roofer. They already know you're a roofer. So brochures oftentimes are very bland in the sense that they show some roofs. They say we do roofing. We're awesome. We're the best. Not really much to it of why they should use you and what the benefit's going to be to them. And that's what they really care about, right? They want to see how you're going to benefit them. So the brochure should sell. What would you say if you were selling to the customer? What is it that makes your roof better than the next guys, the next company? What is it that makes your repair service better? Do you guarantee anything? Do you offer anything over what they could get if they went to your competition? If not, quite honestly, why do you exist? Right? If you're not doing anything better than the next business, what's the point of you being in business? There should be something, some reason, something that you do that's going to convince them that they're going to get the best service from you. And that's what your website needs to convey. So let's go into this with that mindset. We are building a digital salesman. Your website's job is 24 hours to sell your company. 24 hours, you have a salesman that anybody who walks up is ready to go, fired up, ready to get you leads or sales. Whatever your site's designed to do, that's what that salesman needs to do 24/7. So that's what we're building, not a brochure to get more info. I know we do learn more buttons and find out more here about a product or service, but once they get there, sell, sell, sell. Get them to do the next step that grows your business. Um, Having said that, a lot of times, one of the biggest struggles I see with websites is there is a tug of war between design and conversion. So literally, you have a design team that wants a website looking fancy and innovative and award winning, and then there's a side that is fighting for conversions. Unfortunately, in marketing, both do that same thing. I've seen web design companies that are so hyped up on getting the next award for how fancy the site is and how great it looks and how big the fonts are and the images that float across the screen and the colors and then we look at it and we're like, wow, this looks really cool. I don't have a clue what you do. I have no idea what this company does, but they got big fonts saying nothing. That happens a lot. Uh, Calls to action get hidden a lot because somebody on the design team said, "Well, I don't want a big button here. They can just go to the contact page if they want to contact us. Let's not put a button. Let's not try to get them to do something." And that's a huge mistake. You could do both. And the reality is, do you have a website that you're designing to win an award? Or do you have a website that you're designing to grow your business? You have to figure that out. If you want an award, great. If that's going to pay your bills, getting a fancy award for your website, do that. Make it super fancy and complicated, hard to use. Have some like collage thing floating around where nobody has time to focus on what you're saying or what the image even says. Do that. It's great. It's why people like sliders, I think. Um, oh, let's put a slider. It looks really cool on the top of the headline. Just don't take my word for it. Google it yourself and look at the studies that show that sliders reduce conversions. And 99% of your website visitors never see the second slide. So if you think adding a slider is going to help anything at all in your business, it's not. It may make you feel good because you feel like you've got to have all 10 things about your business in a slide. And you think people are going to go to a website, even though you wouldn't do it, and just stare at your slider before scrolling. Or they're going to click the button and look through it because they're so impressed with your slider and how it slides back and forth and shows all these photos. The reality is, it ain't going to happen. It's going to reduce your conversions because anything that moves on the site without the user's control reduces conversion. So that is a fact. You Google that yourself. Don't even just take my word for it. Look up the studies that they've done, the A/B testing they've done. Anything that moves without me touching it when I'm looking at your website is ruining your conversion. It is annoying the customer. It is making a sense that they don't have control over the experience and they want control. If they want to learn more about a certain thing, they'll go to that page. You don't need to slide it. There are better ways to show that information. So hiding the phone number, for instance. Oh, the phone number makes the site not look good because it's we got to put this phone number up there. And what I always say to business owners when they say it is I say, do you want phone calls? If you want phone calls, make your phone number right up front. There's a great book that is, I think, on 2.0 now, maybe 3.0, I don't know, called, I believe it's called Don't Make Me Think. And it is a book about web design. And the great premise of that book is if the user's doing any thinking on your website, you've lost them. The more they have to think, the more frustrating the experience is and the less likely they are to convert. They shouldn't have to think. They should know who you are, what you do. They should know all that information, how to get you to do it without thinking at all. no thought process. And that's what's important. That is more valuable than an award you win because you have big fancy images and big fancy fonts and sliders and graphic things. And when you scroll, the page morphs into something else. Um, Agencies build those because they're more worried about them than they are you. So run from those agencies at the risk of offending these agencies. Honestly, I don't really care. Run. Any agencies that's more worried about their reputation or their look or what they get out of doing something for you, run from them. They should be focused on these are the things that work in your industry. These are the things that convert in websites. And these are the things that we're going to build for you because we know this is going to increase your ROI on this website. So that tug of war will probably go on forever between design and conversion. Conversion should always be number one. And then you make good design around the conversion. Do not make design number one and conversion fits if there's time and if it doesn't ruin your next award for your website. So I want to move into this next part where I actually talk about this, and if anybody is watching this has ever heard me talk about any part of marketing, I usually show this little robot on the screen with a little antenna sticking out of his head. And I'm constantly telling clients that your customer, I want you to always picture them as having an antenna sticking out of their head. They process everything that is around them. They see everything, they feel everything, even if they're not acknowledging it, even if they're not saying it out loud, they are feeling it. We process lighting in room, we process the smell, the temperature, the brightness of the lights, the kind of lights, like we obviously it's not so secret now that these I have them off and I prefer to work with them off when I can. These stupid how do I get a finger there? There we go. These stupid you can see it right there, the bulbs, the fluorescent bulbs, the flicker rate on them messes with your head. It gives people fatigue when they're at work. It's giving fatigue to your customers too in a store, right? There's a lot of things that are being processed that your brain, but you're not walking in to a store thinking, wow, the lights are flickering so fast, my brain hurts. No, your brain's just hurting because the lights are flickering so fast. You don't even know that that's a thing, right? If the temperature is not good and you're slightly uncomfortable, you're a little bit too cold, you're probably more likely to get out of that store. Same thing if you're sweating. So there's a lot of things that we use. And so we always have that antenna going, whether we can pinpoint it or not. We know there's things we don't like. The same thing goes for your website when the colors are a little bit off. The font is hard to read. The spacing doesn't match. The fonts don't work well together. It's okay to have more than one font, but they should work well together. And good designers know that. The colors don't seem to match. The colors are too bright. They're too much contrast. There's not enough contrast. Those are all things that are being processed by the visitor on your website. How easy can they find what you do, read what you do, see what you do, figure out how to contact you? Is it a really long form or a short form? These are all frustrations that people have in their head when they go to your website. And too many times I see business owners that have this big long form, and I'll tell them, hey, the less info you collect on that form, the higher the conversion rate is. And they'll say, well, we need all this info. No, you don't need all that info. You may need all that info eventually to make the sale, but you certainly don't need that info. You're just lazy. You would rather have all that info up front from the client so that you don't have to ask that information on the phone or write it down again. You want to make the customer work to give you the information up front so that your sales team, whoever's answering the phone, doesn't have to ask the questions and rewrite the info. So you're more worried about how your team operates in that situation rather than conversions. Now, if you want less conversions, great, put a long form on there. There is use case for that. Maybe you get a bunch of tire kickers or spam leads or people who can't afford your service. Ask them other questions that qualify. That's fine. But keep the form as short as possible. Those are frustrations people have. Don't bury the contact information on the contact page. It's a frustration people have. Don't hide where you are, your location, your services. Don't make them bounce around. Make your homepage as informative as possible to everything you do so that without leaving the homepage, I can actually figure out what you do. And if I want to learn more about the other services, I can click and go to the next page. But if you make me go to the next page just to find it, you're actually hurting your conversions. thinking too much. They're not seeing what you do. So I want you to always picture that antenna. And you're going to start noticing now when you go to stores. You're going to start noticing that you notice if the floor is dirty, the carpet's dirty, the carts are dirty, the wheels on the cart is squeaky. All these things frustrate you. You can't find the milk because somebody tried to reinvent their store and not put it where everything else is, and they're always in the same place, right? Think about when you walk into any gas station, any any grocery store, everything's where it's supposed to be in the for the most part. It's not that hard to find milk, bread, the deli. You know where to get a candy bar. You know where to get a Gatorade or a soda. You know typically where to get those things. When you walk into a gas station, it's the same process. You know where typically a candy aisle might be. You can almost look around and see, oh, it should be over here instinctively. Now, if you go to that part of the store where it should be and it's not there, now there's a little bit of frustration setting in. It's like, I can't find this. This doesn't make sense. It's usually around here. Now you're walking around and looking, and the bigger the store is, the more frustrating it is, right? If it's a little 7-Eleven, maybe it's not so frustrating, but if it's a Walmart and things aren't where they're supposed to be, you're going to start getting frustrated because you're looking around trying to figure out where, where is the tire department? It's usually on the outside of the store. I've walked the whole outside. Somebody put it in the middle of the store. I've never seen that happen, but again, we're using analogies to help you understand. Don't complicate the process. Make it simple. Don't put your navigation in some stupid spot on the site because you thought it was artsy. People are used to looking at the navigation. And I'm going to tell you right now, real story. I had a client who we built their website, and this is great. This fits in great. I don't think the last time I taught this, I had this example to use. I won't mention names, but a client, we built their website. We uh, revolutionized how the design was, made it simple. Everything was easy to find. And this business saw a massive amount of growth over the next few years. But then somebody in the higher up had a friend at a really fancy agency and they pitched, let's redesign this. These guys do amazing, award winning web design. So they came in 5 times the cost that we built it for, destroyed the site. It was so complicated. The menu, no joke, was at the bottom. So every website you've probably ever been to, except for maybe one or two who think they're helping, have the web navigation on the top. These guys put it down at the bottom. The logo was at the bottom. Everything was hard to find. There was this map thing that was all interactive up top that was really confusing to use. And one of my contacts that I had gotten the website from was using it, or that client from. I had basically made several predictions about what was going to happen. And I said, you give it a year, the navigation is going to go back up top. That thing's going to go away. The menu is going to go back to normal. They're going to change all these things because they're going to get so many complaints about people not being able to use the site. Sure enough, a year later, they had to move everything the way I said they'd have to move it. But now the site looked even worse because it no longer flowed with the design. It no longer matched what they were trying to do. And so they wasted a lot of money on a website that somebody thought was going to win an award because it was so fancy and it was so great. They lost business. They lost advertisers. They lost a ton from trying to be too fancy with their website. And I don't even know if they won an award for it, but uh, it was absolutely a horrible experience for everybody who used that website. And that's unfortunately what happens. You go in, you're frustrated, you cannot find what you need, you cannot uh, get the information as fast as you need it, and you don't know what to do on the site. So picture that antenna sticking out of their head. They're processing everything. Do not reinvent the wheel. There's just no need to. There's just no need to. Okay. If you're already doing really well and you want to test something and you're tracking enough that you can change it right back if it doesn't work, fine. Try to reinvent the wheel. Try to be, the next inventor of the new website design. Great. But the reality is if I open a grocery store tomorrow, my cash registers are going to be up front. My carts are going to be up front. My milk and bread are going to be in the back of the store because that's where they're supposed to be. And if you don't know why, it's because it's the most common item people go to the store for: eggs, milk, bread. So you put them at the back of the store so everybody has to walk through your whole store. That's an example of, okay, now we're complicating things. No, people are seeing other stuff. They're seeing your sales. There's a reason for that. My candy bars are going to be up front. My magazines are going to be up front. Why? Because those are impulse buys right by the register. You're waiting in line. Everything has a reason that it works that way. I'm not going to change the flow and reinvent my store because I think I have a better way to figure it out. There's plenty of stores making a lot of money doing it that way. Plenty of websites doing it in a way that I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel on. So let me see if this slide, I may try to skip this, but let's see. No, we'll go into this right here. So here's what your website needs to convey to everybody that visits it as fast as possible. You need to be able to say who you are. And in most cases, your logo should cover that. Do not make the logo any bigger than needed to read it. Don't worry about how big the logo is. It's the most common objection. I mean, there's like, you can flip a coin and figure out if a customer is going to get their mock-ups and say the logo needs to be bigger. Constantly, logo needs to be bigger is what they're going to say. I'd say it's about 50-50 chance that they're going to ask for a bigger logo. Nobody cares about your logo except for you and maybe your mom. She might care. Your wife, your husband, maybe your kids probably don't even care. Nobody cares. Do not make the logo any bigger than it needs to be to read it and understand who you are based on the logo. That's it. Very simple. Doesn't need to be bigger. That should typically tell people who you are. Okay. What do you do? So many times the statement of what you do is they're trying to be so fancy with it. You just can't just say it. Just say what you do. If you're a plumber, say you're a plumber. Don't come up with some fancy word for plumbing. I'm drawing a blank on what would be fancy for it, but you don't need to be fancy. Just you're a plumber. That's what you are. Okay. There's no shame in that. It's a high-end business. That's a lot of money being a plumber, an electrician. You don't have to change it to, we send electricity through copper into homes. No, just say you're an electrician. That's it. Don't get fancy. Where do you do it? This one is one that commonly becomes a problem. So many people they got the logo there, great. They got a little bit word electrician, but where? Don't make me think about, am I at the right spot, right? Because with an electrician, I'm looking for a local one. With a plumber, roofer, I'm looking for a local company. I don't need a national company. So I'm very concerned about, is this the right one? Am I on the right space? So you mentioned the location, or if you have a phone number present, don't use a 1-800 number thinking that makes you look bigger than you are. You don't need to look bigger than you are, because now the 1-800 number, now I'm confused. Okay, 1-800, I'm looking for a local plumber. I should see my local area code on the phone number. So there are easy ways to let them know that you are in the city that they're looking for, or not in the city they're looking for, and so they can get out and go find somebody that is. So why you are the best is the next one. So why are you the best? Why should I do business with you? There should be something, not a brochure worth, not dominating the entire website worth, but show some credibility, some social proof, something. Do you have a money back guarantee? How long you've been in business? There should be some things that people would want to engage with. Sometimes veteran owned can help. Products made in the US can help. Lifetime warranty or guarantee can help. Showcasing experience. Sometimes awards, like if you're, the awards are pretty overblown lately. You can get an award for anything lately. Reviews will help. Why are you the best? And then lastly, how do I get you to do it? So how do I get you to do the thing that I want you to do? If you're an electrician, how do I get you to show up to my house and look at my problem or give me a quote? Don't make it a mystery. Don't make me jump through hoops. Put the phone number very visible. If you take phone calls, obviously if you're e-com, doesn't matter, but if you're taking phone calls, make sure that phone number is extremely visible, easy to use. The get free estimate or get a consultation, easy to use, easy to find. Don't make them work for it. When you're doing all this, here's where it gets a little bit trickier. You need to mind the fold. So The fold doesn't sound like a great term for websites. I think most people understand what it is today, but I still meet a lot who don't. But the fold is when you open a website, the lowest part you see on the monitor is the fold. So the bottom part, without scrolling, is the fold. That gets that name because newspapers would always put their hottest stories, their most intriguing articles and news above the fold. If you're a magazine, it's on the cover, right? But newspapers use the fold. So, and the reason for that is because newspapers are folded, they're in a stand, you're at the gas station, you're at a store, you see the newspaper, your most hard hitting stories have to be the top ones because they're not going to pick up the newspaper and look at what else is in there unless there's something very interesting on the top above the fold. So we use that term in websites as well. Keep it above the fold, which is just the bottom of the monitor. So now where the hard part comes in is you need to get that who, what, where, why, how all above the fold. And this is why design and conversion struggle, right? If I get all five of those questions answered above the fold, not always easy to do, but if I do that, I have a much better chance of converting somebody and stopping bounce rate because the reality is most people are deciding whether to keep looking at your website or not in about a half a second to 1 second. It's super quick that they're deciding this, which ties into site speed as well. If your site's not loading fast enough, they've already made up their mind that you're no good. That's where the antenna clicks in, and it's frustrating. They feel like they're on dial-up on AOL, and they don't want to use your website anymore. They're out. They're gone. So you need to keep that all above the fold. Fast loading site. Another reason why design should not be the driving factor. Conversion should be. If you have design elements that are slowing down your website, they're reducing your bank account. Okay, so every second it takes for a website to load is less conversion. So that means less money in your bank. Don't let design push you to have this big fancy thing happening and this movie script going and all these things. And so you have a little loading thing and there's a splash screen. We tried those in the early 2000s. Everybody noticed it didn't work. It was bad. And we got rid of them. Some people still live in the early 2000s and they're doing them. So cut that from your website. Quick and easy, fast load. Get them all this information. Get it to them quick. Make it easier for them to do it and don't make them think about the process. So once you get past the fold, then you can put more information. Then you can put more about what you do, how you do it, why you might be the best. But there's a very fine line there, and there's a balance that of the salesmanship and the conversion. So one of the other things that I like to describe a website being is a mirror. So what people want to see in your website is themselves. They don't want to see you. It's not a window into your business. They want a window into your business. Once they get a little further through, then they'll start looking inside the business, but they want to see themselves. They want to understand how you're going to help them. Your product should make them a better person. That's what they want, whether it's a e-com or a service business, right? So your roofing company should give them the best looking roof on the block, the most secure, safest, waterproof, wind resistant, stain resistant. Make your neighbors jealous roof. Make your neighbors jealous lawn. That's what they want. So you can talk about yourself in certain elements because you want to show that you have the expertise. But when you talk about yourself too much, it's just nobody cares. And it's hard as a business owner myself. It is hard because we care and it hurts us. We get too emotionally attached. Nobody cares. What I want from the lawn maintenance company is for my neighbors to stare at my yard in envy. I want them to be so jealous of my and this is super relevant right now. Um, my wife is not in the chat thing, but she's on text chiming in every once in a while. The other day, I'm staring out my front door at my lawn. I just got home, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I kid you not, I said, "There's a guy down the street whose lawn's better than mine, and I'm trying to figure out what he's doing different." So his lawn is so green, and mine's decently green. It's almost at the risk of being a progressive commercial right now, the new homeowners commercial. It's like 90% where I want it to be. But this dude's lawn is green. And so I have thought about asking the guy how he does it. Like, how do you do this? Right. That's what I want. And so when somebody speaks to me that way, of like, they're going to make my neighbors come to me and figure out how I got my lawn so green, that's effective. That's sales. That is going to get me interested. Just telling me you've been around 10 years and you cut grass, uh, and you do it like twice a month, it doesn't help me. Lots of people do that. I want my lawn done right. I want my roof to protect my home. I want my plumbing to not leak. I want it to be upgraded. I want my house to be the fanciest, my paint to be the best. I want my windows to be the cleanest and the nicest looking in the neighborhood. That's what I want. So I need to see myself in the website. So when you're designing your website, look from the customer. Don't try to be the hero to your customer. Make them be the hero. Your job is to make them the hero. That's your job. Too many businesses want to be the hero. No, we're the best and we come in and save you. But that's not what we're looking for. I want to be the hero of my neighborhood with the greenest grass and the straightest hedges and the brightest mulch and the brightest lighting on the outside. That's what I want. I want my truck to be, I don't want it to be the loudest, but I do want a rumble when I drive down the street, right? I do want something like that. I want it to be the cleanest truck on the road. I want your wax and car cleaner to make me look amazing, right? Think about women's hair products and when women are shopping for makeup and clothes, they want to look a certain way, and you need to show them that that's how they're going to look when they use your products or go to your salon. That is very important, to let them see themselves in the website and feel like I'm going to be this person. So when I see that beautiful lawn on your website, that's going to be me. That's going to be my lawn. Especially when you show me that I see the lawn and the neighbors crying over his lawn. That's what I want. That's what I want. Give me that. Show me that you're going to do that for me, and you're probably getting a phone call. So, what's in it for them? That's what you should speak about on the website. There is a balance between being able to speak about yourself, because I do want to know, you've been doing this 20 years. Did you win some award? Do you have reviews? Do you have certifications? Any of those things. Show that credibility so that I trust that what you're saying is real and that you will actually do what you're saying you're going to do for my for whatever I need. It could be a shirt I want that's going to make me, like who's the one oh, I cannot remember the shirts right now that are out, that I haven't gotten them, but there's like a shirt that's like for guys where it's like a different cut, so it helps them look muscular all the time. It doesn't it's not too tight around the waist. Oh gosh, I'll remember it at some point. But that's a great commercial. True Classic. There's my wife chiming in with True Classic. So we have no affiliation with True Classic. We're not paid or sponsored by them. But that's a commercial I've seen where it talks about like how that shirt makes you look, and it even shows guys showing up, and like women are staring at them, and the friends are looking at them all jealous because their shirts are all puffy and baggy because they don't have the right fit. That's a good commercial, because it says what's in it for me, and the guy wants to look like that, and so they buy the shirt. That's a great ad and a great pitch that they have. Don't know if there are any quality of shirts, but that's a great example. Your website should do that. That's exactly what your website do. Look at True Classics, how they're making men feel like they need these shirts to look really good out in public, and they're just going to look taller and brighter and richer and more popular. That's what we want. That's what they want. So let your website do that more than it just talks about the cotton, right? They could talk about how the cotton is. They could talk about how the sewing process is. They don't. They talk about how it's going to make you look and what problem it's solving, of men buying shirts that are either too baggy or too tight, and there's no happy medium. There's no middle ground for the dad bod. There's no middle ground for it. They've figured that out, I guess, and I don't know if it works, but they figured it out. The commercial says it works, so you have to trust that. So there's think about how you shop in general, and that's one thing I think we don't do enough. We don't remove ourselves as business owners from our business and look at how we interact. Pay attention to when you go to a website, how fast you can find the information and whether or not you get frustrated. Pay attention to the next site you go to that has a slider, and if you even stop to look at it. Pay attention to how far down the screen you scroll. How easy is it for you to get the information? Watch those things. Look at products you've bought and that you were like obsessed with buying, and go rewatch. Go back to their website, relook at their ads, and see if it spoke to you in a way that I'm telling you should speak to. Your site should speak to the customer. See if it does that emotion tug where it's like, hey, you're going to be like this. This is what it's going to do for you. There's a lot of products I've bought that are that I can tell you right now, just in some of the ones I bought up shopping for a house and just seeing what they do. I felt that emotional tug. Okay, this is what I need. This is going to help me with this problem. And I don't feel like they're trying to be the hero. They are letting me be the hero, and they're giving me what I need to be. They're the sidekick. So be the sidekick, make them the hero. Another great example of as we wrap up, I think I'm at 35 minutes, and I don't know what the last one was at, and I don't know how long these should be. I think we've covered everything. Normally, I would do hot seats right now if this was live, and people would we'd spend the rest of the time tearing up people's websites and going through and telling them what to change and trying to help them. But usually, it's pretty funny. So we just had a client recently that it's an e-com site, and in line with don't reinvent the wheel and don't change things that people are used to. In this particular site, all the pictures were on the right, and the descriptions and buy button was on the left. And if you just go look at any e-com site that you use on a daily basis, Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy, Macy's, you name it, the pictures are on the left. They're usually very clean, very clear, maybe a few variations, not 30 that nobody's ever going to go through, just top 5. And then the descriptions are on the right. It's a buy now button. There's usually some credibility items. If you're not Macy's, you're going to need some credibility items. You need something to show that you're a legit place. Their information secure. Reviews tend to be up there. There's usually a link for it. If not, you scroll down, you usually see reviews. Don't reinvent that. That process is working right now. It is huge. Now, again, if you're Amazon, if you're Macy's, which I'm pretty sure you're not, and you want to test something, go ahead and test it, but just be ready to put it back if it doesn't work. But if you're not those things and you're trying to get more sales out of your ecom and you've got things reversed, fix that. If your checkout process is too complicated, fix that. If your add to cart button isn't clear that this is the add to cart button and I know how to do that and I know how to add more than one, fix that. If I can't find the reviews, those are the things you need to look at. Go walk through Best Buy's process, Amazon's process. Amazon puts a lot of money into the way their site works, and they've tested it and they know it. Now, I'll give you one more balance to that. There's always caveats to everything, and I'll cover that real quick before we finish. But check out Amazon's website. And by the way, pay attention every time you click something on Amazon's website, because this is something very important. Track everything. Click any button on Amazon's website, then go back up to the top and look at the full URL, and you'll notice they've got tags. They know when you click the Prime button, where you clicked it. Was it the footer? Was it the header? Was it in the menu on the left? Was it maybe in another spot that they're testing at that moment? They know how many people click the Prime button in certain spots. So they know if it's in a certain spot, nobody's ever clicking it, they can get rid of it and put something else there that might be more important. They're tracking everything on the website. The only other caveat I will say to that is you are not Amazon. And so there's sometimes we will overdo it and try to be Amazon, but you don't need to be, right? If you're designing, and I'll say this because I've seen people that are, it's odd, but I've seen people, local service business that shows me a Mercedes ad and thinks that their website should look like that. You're not Mercedes. You don't have the brand reputation. You don't have the backing. You don't have dealerships 10 minutes away in every city. You need to do a different process. You need to do more of the who, what, where, why, how. Don't go to some major website that doesn't need to say anything on their website. And I've run into this so many times where that's what they're comparing to. Don't use that as an example of what your website should be. You're not them. You need a better website. You're growing. You still need to follow some of those rules. And when you get to the point where you're Coca-Cola and you only advertise to stay on top of somebody's mind, then sure. But don't bring me Coca-Cola's website and say, well, they're not doing it. It doesn't count. That doesn't count. If you're a local, I went through this with a band once that was comparing themselves to some of the bigger bands. I mean, arena bands, and trying to, well, we don't need to do that. Look what these guys do. Well, what Taylor Swift is doing or Beyonce is doing, you ain't Beyonce. It's not working that way. You have to do things a little different to get your name out there. Um, she doesn't even need to advertise. She just has to have a concert somewhere. Her fans are finding it. They're just finding it. They're going. She could never advertise a concert. It's going to fill up. It's going to sell out. That's not you. So don't try to copy that person. So there is a caveat to that. Watch what the big guys are doing, but look for the basics. Don't pretend you're Amazon. You're not Amazon. I hope you are someday. You could be if you follow my tips here. A little prideful, but I'm going with that. So I think that's about everything I can cover today. And so I hope you join us next month. We have, I should have wrote down the name again. I'm trying to remember it by head, but I don't remember the name of the next webinar. But it will be in about a month from now. You can sign up in advance so you get notifications. Go to outbound.com, and there is you can sign up on the our mailing list. First of all, try the product. We're giving you free ads right now. So we're scanning your website. We are creating your personas. We are creating your ads, and we are launching your ads completely for free right now. And we've got some new updates coming out that I don't think I'm allowed to share, but I will figure out if I can share it on the next webinar. But we do have some exciting features coming out soon. So do that anyway, number one. And then number two, join the mailing list so that you get notified when we do these. And so if there's a webinar that would be interesting to you, you can sign up in advance and be here live. But don't worry if you miss it. Obviously, you guys can watch this. It's on YouTube. And I will see you next month. I thought I had the topic, but I don't have it. I don't remember what it is. So I'll see you guys in a month, and hope you enjoy it. Add comments, questions. If you want a quick review, and we have time, we might be able to do a review of your website if you're seeing this afterwards and you comment. So see you next month.